What's good, my friends? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Marc, Ron, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. You guys have a ton of choices out there. Truly do appreciate you making us part of your day each and every day. Could not do it without you. We thank you guys so very, very much. Here is what is coming up on the show today. All right, we've got your Clemson versus Miami preview. We've got a brand new segment coming up in the next segment called Enemy Intel. Enemy Intel is coming your way today. All right, it most certainly is. We've also got a high school football preview with Cole Bryson. We're going to give you a shot to make great money with Ryan Horvat. I'm going to give you my upset pick of the week, my top 10 NFL quarterbacks, your biggest midseason takeaways. We will preview week 7 in the NFL and so much more right here with you guys, 3 to 7 p.m. here on the Fan Upstate. Along the way, here's how you can take part. You can give us a ring at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. And the MadWorldAttractions.com text line is there for you at 71307. Just start your text with the word fan, and away you go on the show. Folks, I'm about to play a clip for you here from one Josh Pate. Okay. And it's interesting because I agree with Josh on a lot. And there have been times when Josh has felt very, very strongly about something. I felt the other way and I've come out incorrect. But I don't know if I've ever disagreed with Josh Pate more strongly or vehemently than I do about the pick in this week's Clemson versus Miami game. All right. Instead of taking my word for it, I'll step out of the way and I'll have you hear what Josh Pate has to say here about Clemson versus Miami.
We've got a situation here. We've got a wrong team favorite situation. You remember how this turned out the last time we said that. Chaos Monday through Friday, and then we look like geniuses on Saturday. So, Colin, let's see what the model thinks. The Vegas number right now is Clemson -4. We think the wrong team's favored. We think Miami -1 is the right number. It's just been horrifically skewed because of very poor turnover luck the past 2 weeks. Not luck. It's undisciplined, like they've given the ball away. We're going to roll some dice here. We're going to say the turnover monster does not completely devour Miami like an unstoppable rebel force this week. I hope I've been vivid enough. And we're going to not only take Miami to cover, we're going to take them to win the game outright. Now, either way, it's going to be a topic on the Sunday show because either way, it's just going to be grossly toxic around the losing program here. That's the beauty and terror of college football. So you may think I'm crazy riding with Miami. That's okay. That's okay. What I don't want to do is be on them 1 week, got the bad turnover luck, so then I'm off of them the next week, and then the turnover thing flips, and then they win, and all of a sudden you're like, why can't I get a read on Miami? I think I know the quality of team they have. They have to play that quality of game. That's what I'm saying.
The words of one Josh Pate. You know what, guys? I'm not seeing it. And I don't buy it. And something's going on right now that's annoying me, Diesel, and that is that, is this happening for you too? Like Twitter is not showing me my notifications anymore. I feel like Elon Musk is about to charge us to see all of our notifications. You know what I mean? Like I'm just not seeing them.
Well,
anymore.
don't worry. People aren't flocking to Threads, so they'll stick with Twitter anyway and just complain about it.
Yeah, like I post something. I see that it's got X number of likes, X number of comments, but I have to go to the post to see the comments.
Maybe it's just a glitch.
It was so weird. Anyway, Josh Pate says the wrong team is favored. Josh Pate says that team is Miami. Josh Pate is wrong. And Diesel, I invite you to timestamp this at 3:05:21. And if I am wrong, play it on Monday. Okay? Because he's been right before. He says the wrong team is favored before. What do you guys think? Like, Clemson is favored by 4 in this game. It's at Miami. Who should be the favored team in this one? 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-FAN-FONE. That's 844-326-3663. I look at the intangibles in this game. I think every single intangible favors Clemson. Clemson is rested and focused. Miami is fatigued and defeated. Okay? Clemson has had a bye week. Miami just played UNC. Just crapped the bed in biblical fashion the week before against Georgia Tech. You remember that play, right? All they had to do was take a knee and the game's over. They ran a play and they fumbled, right? Then, given the fact that Miami fans peace out the second the Hurricanes lose a game simply because they're not great fans and there's too much to do in the city of Miami. So if you're not the best of the best entertainment option, people aren't going to go to your games. What's the stadium capacity going to be at Hard Rock Stadium tomorrow night? Is it going to be about 40%? Could there be more Clemson fans in Miami than Miami fans? That orange that you're seeing at Hard Rock Stadium might not be for the you. It might be for the you that you see in the mirror. Okay? Come on now, Josh Pate. Come on. All right? Miami is not going to beat Clemson. Clemson is going to win this game by 10-plus points. And Clemson is poised to make a statement. That statement being, if the ACC championship game door is cracked open for them, look out. Look out. Because they just might walk right through. That's how I see it. That's how I feel. Van Dyke in Miami, they've got some talent. Mario Cristobal, I think, is a good coach, a flawed coach who needs to learn how to kneel the football. But I don't think as a program, Mario Cristobal is ready to beat Dabo Swinney in Miami. You know what Miami's home record is against ACC opponents under Mario Cristobal? It's 0-5. 0-5. At home against ACC opponents, Miami has been outscored 36-16. Miami has been outrushed 187-97. They've been doubled up in rushing. They've been more than doubled up in the points, and they've committed more than double the turnovers. In 5 ACC home games, they've committed 22 turnovers. They've gotten 9. There is no basis for picking Miami in this game.
Madcraft on the YouTube stream, Mark takes umbrage to both of your points. He says, number one, he would argue that this game is a pick'em. Based on what, Madcraft? If you have a take, support it. Support it with opinion. He also says it'll be more than 40% full, and it will definitely be more Miami fans.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see. What is Miami playing for at this point? They're not playing for a college football playoff berth, a national championship. They're not playing for an ACC championship game berth.
They are the Flint Tropics. They're playing for 4th place.
Right. I mean, that's like, what are they? Why is this a big game? This had the potential to be a big game if they beat UNC or if they didn't wet themselves against Georgia Tech. This had the potential to be a big game. This is no longer a big game. And Miami is not a city that shows for games that are not big games. Now, where I agree completely with Josh Pate is this. The loser is going to have a very, very, very toxic situation. Diesel, what is the environment going to be like here on Monday if Clemson is sitting here more than halfway through the season? Before Halloween, Clemson has 3 losses in the All Cupcakes Conference. Can you imagine Clemson sitting there with a record of 2-3 in the ACC? We're all of the should have kept DJU people. By the way, they're totally wrong. They're totally wrong.
I'm going to tell you flat out what the environment around here is going to be. It's going to be crickets from Clemson fans. They will sink back into the bushes like Homer Simpson in the GIF.
I think, Diesel, there's even people in our building who don't understand that. There's people in our building that are Gamecock fans, and like Clemson lost to Florida State, and they're telling me, oh, Mark, I love that Clemson lost. I love it. Well, okay, but you want us to get engagement, right? Clemson winning is good for engagement. South Carolina winning is good for engagement, right? When the fan bases are checked out, sports radio stations don't do as well, okay? Yes, if Clemson loses this game, the fan base is going to check out on the rest of the season. Diesel, do you agree on that? Is that a true statement?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I challenge Clemson fans to prove me otherwise.
Man of Tomorrow says, did Diesel just say GIF? Yeah, it's GIF. That the creator of the format says GIF. It is GIF. I don't care what delusion everybody else in this world who says GIF. I don't care what you all say. I don't have to join in on you being wrong. It is pronounced GIF. The guy who created it says GIF. Let's move on.
So Diesel has his least favorite takes from me. One of them is like you banked in three-pointers should not count. This is my least favorite take of Diesel.
It's not a take. It's a fact. The creator of the format says it's GIF. You're going to tell the guy who literally came up with it you're wrong.
Yeah.
Well, you're wrong.
Because
don't be that guy, Mark.
What happens,
don't argue. How many times do we say on this show, facts matter? This is a fact. You can't change the fact because you don't like the fact. The fact is a fact. It's a fact.
But the reality,
stop trying to change the fact.
The reality.
Reality is fact. It's the same thing.
Well, the reality is over a period of time, words can change, spellings can change because the lexicon around
it's been like 30 years.
Yeah.
It's been like 30 years. It's not long enough to change the word. It's GIF.
If 90% of people say GIF, guess what?
It's 90% of people are wrong.
GIF is what I put on molded bread.
Ew.
So says Roger Carper. That's absolutely right. So anyway, guys, imagine for a moment that Clemson loses this game. All right. We've experienced this week thus far with South Carolina fans, right? It's like, oh gosh, the wheels are falling off. I still think, based on the history with South Carolina, that they're still hanging on. But if the Gamecocks do not produce a win in the next 2 weeks at Missouri, at Texas A&M, if one of those is not a dub, all right, then batten down the hatches. Gamecock fans will be hibernating until next August. Okay, I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. They might come out if the Gamecocks were to beat Clemson, okay? But if South Carolina is sitting there at 2-6 through 8 games, the fan base is gone until next August. Clemson fans, I think, are going to get to that point after this game, right? And I feel like the criticism against Dabo Swinney is going to reach a fever pitch. Diesel, do we have the audio from Dabo Swinney from yesterday? It's when Dabo says, look, we're not going to walk around here like a bunch of losers because we lose a game. And he says people want to act like you're a loser if you lose a single game, if you drop a single contest, right? And that's coach speak, right? We're not losers if you lose a single game. Here's what Dabo said on his Tiger Calls show earlier this week.
I don't think anybody's satisfied at being 4-2. We're never satisfied. I mean, it's just kind of where we are, but I assume you're talking about the guy who called in and was, complaining about whoever he works with. And I just, I guess nobody has a sense of humor anymore around here. But that's just kind of the world we live in. But no, our fans are awesome. I mean, 98.5% of our fans are amazing. I mean, I've been here it's my 21st year. So, I mean, literally 98.5% are amazing. But we got 1.5% that they're with you win or win. And, and so I was trying to, I don't even know who I was talking to, pep him up a little bit. A little adversity in this world is sometimes good, because for a couple of reasons. I think sometimes you can win so much you lose appreciation for the blessing. That's just a reality. And it's hard to win. It's freaking hard to win. And to win consistently is almost impossible. So people don't understand that. I can't help them.
Sean Bergeron says Mark Dabo is 16-3 against the spread coming off of a bye. Let's see here. Texter says, Mark, just making sure my pick came in yesterday because I didn't hear it over the radio. He thought he submitted again. Texter says, tell Josh Pate he needs to take a knee and pray his upset pick of Miami wins the game. Texter says, let's try again. I'll take Tennessee getting 9 against Alabama. So said Fred Sims. Texter says whoever wins the turnover margin will win the Clemson-Miami game. So says Hunt GPT. Yeah, Miami's handing the ball like Oprah hands away cars. Here's a turnover for you and a turnover for you. Texter says Clemson covers, but Miami wins by a field goal. Dabo tells Clemson fans it's their fault after the game. Texter says, Mark, have you watched Clemson's offense? They suck. Have you seen Clemson's offensive ranking nationwide? It doesn't suck. When did any football game that is against an opponent that has been pretty good over the last 10 years not a big game? I would argue all games. You don't know Miami. Like Miami doesn't show out unless it's a championship game. What are the odds Clemson loses to USC and Notre Dame? I bet there are not good odds for Clemson. They better beat Miami or they might be in trouble. I can tell you the odds. The odds are 53% chance they beat UNC and 46% chance they beat Notre Dame. All right? Probably speaking, they win one of two. Let's see. Wow, there's a very touchy subject for Diesel, apparently. It seems that way, doesn't it? Let's see here. Kevin Buggs has taken Northwestern versus Nebraska. Diesel, Mark thinks interior designers dress people. Diesel busts my balls about that all the time.
Yeah, he also misused the word respective, I think, on a tweet the other day.
Respective.
Yeah.
Okay.
You misused that word too.
Okay. We'll see how it goes. We've got a fun segment for you here coming up next, folks. It is Enemy Intel, where we go behind enemy lines to give you the scoop from Missouri and Miami as South Carolina and Clemson face off. That's next, right here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Marc, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. Matt Michaels from the Missouri Radio Network joining us here on Offsides. Marc, Ryan, and Diesel, the Fan Upstate. Matt, I wouldn't be surprised at Missouri minus 6.5, 7 points when the season began. I am surprised about it now. You know, Missouri has one loss. South Carolina has 2 wins. It's on the road at Missouri. Is this one of those Vegas jukes where they know something that we don't know? How is this spread not Missouri minus 16?
Well, I think for a couple of reasons. First of all, last week's game was played at Kentucky in some adverse conditions, a little bit adverse. It was kind of a rainy, gray day all day long, and then the game at night had the same thing. And Brady Cook was not at his very best. And we've seen Cook now throw interceptions in 2 straight games after going 350-something pass attempts in a row without throwing an interception. So you've maybe seen a little bit of a crack in the armor there. And maybe that has people concerned about what the total of the game will be. Missouri has had some struggles in finishing off teams at the end of games. Really, the game against Kentucky, where they were down a point going into the fourth quarter there and really stepped on the gas at the end, was one of the first times in a while where they stepped through the finish line and were able to finish off a team. So that's a good sign going forward, but they have done it once, and they would probably need to do it again to get the benefit of the doubt there. And I do think that Missouri's defense at times has been a little bit permissive, certainly against LSU a couple of games ago with all the passing yards and what Jaden Daniels was able to do with his feet. There is a little bit of injury concern at some positions, but not a ton. Chad Bailey is probably the guy who will be missing the most. He's a starting level linebacker, but he's had kind of a core injury, and they want to give him 20 days of rest before the final 4 games of the season, so they're going to sit him this week. So maybe those things come into it. I will say, when Missouri's clicking on all cylinders with its offense and its defense is getting enough pressure to at least force some turnovers, they are a tough team to beat, especially at home, where they've only dropped the 1 to LSU, and even that was a close game. So maybe it's a little bit of a eyebrow raiser from the folks in the desert, but I do think that Carolina can do some things to keep this one close. And Eli Drinkwitz said it on his coach's show earlier this week. Any team that's got a potential first-round pick, and that's how he described Spencer Rattler, has a chance to win the game. So I think that might be part of the reason why folks in Vegas see this as a little bit closer as some others might.
Matt Michaels of the Missouri Radio Network, you said it, they're finishing games, and that's all about depth. In your mind, where is Missouri strongest, and where are they weakest as far as depth is concerned?
Well, I think you go to either side of the ball, and taking away the quarterback position because Brady Cook being healthy is a big part of their depth. The wide receiver room is just really, really good. It's not just Luther Burden. It is Theo Weiss, the transfer from Oklahoma, who had himself a fine game at Kentucky when Burden was maybe bracketed a bit and didn't have a particularly productive game. Then you have a guy like Marquise Johnson, who's a true freshman and is got speed to burn. They will try at some point in this game some sort of deep ball to Marquise Johnson. They've done it consistently throughout the past weeks. And this past week, in fact, at Kentucky, it was a fake punt that they got Johnson on that scored a touchdown from the punter, Luke Bauer, and it turned the tide of the game, and that momentum was taken away by Missouri after that. You know, Mookie Cooper is a transfer from Ohio State that last year wasn't as productive, but he's a native of the St. Louis area, and this year has provided a lot of depth. So really the pass catchers on offense is where the depth comes from. And on defense, it has to be the corners. The safeties that sometimes have been a little bit shaky, but Chris Abrams-Drain is one of the best cornerbacks in the country, bar none. He keeps getting these interceptions, and he keeps defending passes. I think the completion percentage against him is preposterously low. So teams keep trying it, and KAD keeps coming up with it. And Ennis Rakestraw, who it looks like will play this week, has been fighting a little bit of injury, is a very good complement to him on the other side. I think that you can shut down a team's main threat just with Chris Abrams-Drain as a cornerback. And if you can do that with enough success, you have the strength of a defense that then the defensive line and linebackers can come put pressure on the cornerback. So I think wide receiver and corner, probably the two deepest positions for this team.
We've got Matt Michaels from the Missouri Radio Network joining us here on Offsides. Marc, Ron, and Diesel, the fan upstate. Matt, as this segment is called Enemy Intel, and since Jim Harbaugh sent me, what can you tell me about Missouri's signs?
I can tell you they have them. I can tell you that they will hold up bed sheets behind the people who are giving the signs when Missouri's on offense, so nobody can steal them. You know, we've gotten very sophisticated in big-time college football,
yes,
guys. We hold up bed sheets and tarps and stuff to keep people in the coach's box from looking at us from behind. That's how we have to handle our business. No, I don't know them. If I did, I probably would be a lot smarter talking about them than I am right now. But I do know they have signs, so I can confirm that.
And finally, Matt, how do you explain what's happened to South Carolina this year? I mean, they've got the most talented quarterback that has ever stepped foot on that campus, and they find themselves 2-4.
Well, I think you kind of said it. They have the very talented quarterback, and they play some really talented teams. You know, I can understand the disappointment certainly last week against Florida or against a Tennessee team that has struggled in some ways offensively, but kind of found its rhythm in the ground game as much as anything else. But you played some very good teams in North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, and Florida that you've taken losses to if you're South Carolina, but it's all still ahead of you. I mean, Missouri is a game that absolutely South Carolina can win if it's its most efficient and if its pass defense steps up a little bit and makes Missouri have just a touch of an off day than it has been. You know, they never give you any easy weekends in the SEC. They're not even against Vanderbilt is an easy weekend, and Missouri needed the end of that game to really finish off the Commodores. I just think that some of these games have been tight and unable for the Gamecocks to finish, but just like last season, you know, when Coach Beamer had those guys sprinting through the finish line and pulling off some upsets that people did not expect from them at the end of the year, we know that this South Carolina program's capable of that again. So I think it might just be a case of a slow start and some talented opponents. And all of a sudden you put a couple of weeks together. If you can win 2 straight weeks on the road, it wouldn't be completely far-fetched to think of that. And then all of a sudden you'd have the Gamecocks right back in the thick of things. So I don't think Missouri's taking them lightly. I can tell you that. And I don't think anybody should, because there's a lot of talent on that South Carolina team, and especially at quarterback, like you mentioned.
Matt Michaels from the Missouri Radio Network. Matt, great catching up with you, pal. Good luck to Missouri tomorrow. Thanks so much for the time.
Yeah, appreciate it, Marc. Diesel, anytime.
Thank you so very much. And Enemy Intel rolls on. In case you're wondering, this is CSI from back in the day. And joining us right now for the second half of Enemy Intel, we go behind enemy lines on Clemson, Miami, with just a great dude. It's hard to attach the word enemy to anything with Alex Donno, host of Locked On Canes Daily and an All Hurricanes contributor. Alex Donno joins us right here on the show. Alex, a couple of really tough weeks for Miami. I have said, and I heard Josh Pate earlier this week say the wrong team is favored. It should be Miami. I totally disagree, Alex, because to me, all of the intangibles favor Clemson. Off of a bye week versus off of heartbreak and really kind of getting beaten up against North Carolina. And Miami fans have a penchant for not showing up when there's nothing left. There's no national championships, ACC championships to play for. Are you in agreement with me that all the intangibles favor Clemson here, or are you on the other side?
At least most of the intangibles favor Clemson, and I don't think the wrong team is favored. I think the right team is favored, and I think it could very well be a close game. And hey, based on the way the last couple of weeks have gone for Miami, you kind of wonder if Mario Cristobal should have been pulling a Jim Harbaugh, maybe stealing some signals before Georgia Tech and North Carolina. But the big thing, both of these teams, Miami and Clemson, have been prone to self-inflicted wounds. They probably should both be better than 4-2. I mean, I'm not going to argue Miami's loss to North Carolina. That's a great team. Miami really, as we all know, should have beaten Georgia Tech, and Clemson probably should have won at least one of the two games that they lost to Duke and to Florida State. So these teams have both had a real penchant for self-inflicted wounds and self-sabotage. Like in Clemson's case, it's been a lot of struggles in the red zone. In Miami's case, these last two games, it's just been turnover city, Mark and Diesel. And you kind of wonder, is there a little bit of a fluke aspect to it, or is that just who they are? Because it wasn't who they were in the first 4 games of the year, but in the last 2, they've turned it over, Miami, 9 times over their past 2 games, including 5 interceptions from Tyler Van Dyke. As far as what Miami does well, they're big and physical at the line of scrimmage, which had not been their identity in previous years. It is their identity this year. They have one of the better offensive lines in the country. They've got one of the better receivers in the country, at least if you go by his stats. Xavier Restrepo is having a really, really big year. Miami's defensive line has put pressure on quarterbacks, but they're going up against probably the best defense they're going to face all year, because that Clemson Tigers group, they're top 10 against the run, top 5 overall, really good against the pass as well. I think they're top 25 there. It's going to be a big challenge for Miami. So I do think the right team is favored, but I agree. With the odds makers, it's probably going to be a close game.
Alex Donno of the Locked On Canes Daily. You know that Georgia Tech wasn't stealing signs, because if they were, they would have seen the call to run it. They would have run over to Miami's booth and said, "What are you guys, nuts?" What does Miami have to do to get off the ball quickly, to get off to a hot start? Are they a team that's going to be able to pound it down Clemson's throat? And how many points do you think they're going to have to score to win this game?
I mean, I don't know if anybody can pound it down Clemson's throat. They've got such a good, I think I misspoke earlier, they've actually got the top rushing defense in the country, so I want to give them the credit that they deserve. I don't know if anybody has pounded it down their throat. Miami definitely has the guys that theoretically can do that. I talked about the big physical offensive line. They also have 3 or 4 running backs, depending on, kind of how the carries go, that they can use on any given night. They have had their own turnover problems, because in each of the last 2 games, not Mark Fletcher, he hasn't played, but Henry Parrish and Don Chaney Jr. have both had fumbles. I wonder if Mark Fletcher could be back for this game. He's been injured for the last couple. He's a sensational true freshman who was a big part of their early season success. So they've got running backs who can tote the rock. Against that defense, I'm not so sure. But, the part of Miami's passing game that has found success, which has been night and day compared to last year, because last year they just were completely, the idea of big plays down the field was a complete foreign concept to Miami last year. They've hit some big plays this year. Jacoby George, number 3, has been the wide receiver who's gotten on the other end of some deep balls from Tyler Van Dyke and scored some long touchdowns this year. Colby Young is a good possession receiver. He's a little bit hot and cold. He's had some really good games, a couple of not so good games. He only had 20 yards receiving last year. But unlike last week, I should say, and unlike last season, Miami has shown the ability to rack off some big plays and score some points in bunches. So And I think they're going to have to throw the ball downfield, because if they don't, Clemson, with that rushing defense of theirs, can stack the box and kind of dare Tyler Van Dyke to beat them. And I don't think Van Dyke is 100%. He's carrying some injuries into this game. So if they can't hit some downfield plays, it's going to be a long night for Miami.
Have you guys explored, Alex, the why to be behind Mario Cristobal not taking a knee there, and then considering he never really does take knees? It just seems to be something where taking a knee is a waste of time. The guy doesn't believe in waste of times. Every play can be productive, but there comes a point where it just doesn't make sense to continue to push the envelope. You know, there comes a point where it's counterproductive to get an extra rep. Do you feel like you've in a satisfactory way, have you gotten an answer to the why and assurances that it'll never do that garbage again?
To the why, no, I don't believe we've gotten a full answer on it, because I think in order to get that full answer, it might require some finger pointing that the coaching staff just doesn't want. They don't want to throw anybody else under the bus there. I think that's probably the why, and I can respect that. As far as promising it's never going to happen again, Mario Cristobal did give those assurances. So did the offensive coordinator, Shannon Dawson, saying next time they have an opportunity to finish a game like that, they will take a knee. Because I don't know 100% sure for sure why that happened. Did it happen because they simply were not aware of the situation and the math? Possibly. Did it happen because of philosophical reasons? Because like you mentioned, Cristobal is known for not taking knees and not lining up in the victory formation. Possibly. Some people even have a theory that I highly doubt, because this just would seem counterproductive to the game of football. Some people have a theory that the reason why they handed it off to Don Chaney, the running back, was because he was a yard away from 100 yards for the game, and they were trying to. I don't believe. I just wanted to throw that out there because people have said it. I don't believe that that's actually why that happened. But no, the answer for exactly why it happened, there have been some conspiracy theories that actually Cristobal had tried to tell the offensive coordinator, maybe we should take a knee, and they ran a play anyway. Some people think that was a Mario decision. Some people don't. We may never know why that happened, but we have received assurances that won't happen again.
Alex Donno joining us from the Locked On Canes podcast. The segment, Alex, is called Enemy Intel, and Jim Harbaugh sent me. So what can you tell me about Miami signs?
I'll say what your previous guest said.
Oh, you heard that. Darn it.
They have them. They're beautiful. They're great signs. And I'll be honest with you guys, and I definitely got caught up in the Harbaugh mania, and I was reading a lot of articles about it this morning. I was today years old when I found out that you're not allowed to send scouts to games in person.
Same.
I didn't know. It's been a rule since 1994. I had no idea until I was reading about it this morning. I would assume that, anyone who works for Michigan's coaching staff, you should know that, and it's compliance's job to know that. So I'm not giving Harbaugh a pass, but I had no idea until this morning that was even a rule.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Makes sense to me. I didn't know. And, like everyone wants to trash. It's clear that somebody's got it out for Harbaugh in the NCAA offices, because they keep popping him for these misdemeanor offenses, and no one else is getting popped when everyone is doing that, right? So, I mean, literally, name a school that doesn't have somebody watching the other team at their game. Give me a break. All right, Alex, if Miami were to win on Saturday, it will be because they've achieved and accomplished what during the course of the game?
That they don't make mistakes. That's really it. And I think that this is probably one of the reasons why Josh Pate said the wrong team is favored, because Miami has a really good roster. I mean, I respect Clemson's roster as well, but Miami has shown us in their victories that they are capable of playing at a really high level. Their losses have really come in the form of self-sabotage. So if they can win the turnover margin, they'll win the game. I'll leave it at that.
How about that from Alex Donno? Alex, do you do predictions? Have you already made a prediction? Could we get a prediction?
I hate doing them. I'm required to do them. So the prediction I've gone on record with is 24-20 Miami. I hate doing them. Nobody cares what I predict after the game is over, but there it is. You asked for it. You got it.
Similarly, we hate them, Alex. Similarly, but it's like it's written in our contract, so we have to ask. Alex, a host of Locked On Canes and the All Hurricanes podcasts. and contributors on Twitter at Alex Donno, Donno. Great stuff, Alex. Thanks so much for making the time, my friend.
Always a pleasure, Mark and Diesel. Thanks so much.
You got it. All right. Alex Donno. Guys, this matchup is the ACC's number one defense, Clemson, against the ACC's number one offense, Miami. You might say, well, whoa, Mark, what about North Carolina? In terms of total offense, Miami's actually number one. Miami's averaging 37. When did that happen? Miami's averaging 37 points a game. Diesel, I got here an hour ago.
It sounds like somebody's testing an aircraft engine next door.
It's crazy. What's going on with the
getting
weather
rain
here?
Dumped on us out there.
What's happening? Stay safe out there, upstaters. No, but the problem for Miami is, again, the turnovers. They're 120-something in the country in turnover margin. They hand you the ball. Now, Josh Pate acts like that's luck that's going to change, and I think being prone to mistakes is part of your team DNA. And I don't think the turnover problem gets better against a defense as good as Clemson's. Do you? Do you? We'll pick the game coming up in Wise Guys Wisdom 2 hours from now, right here on Offsides. Hey, by the way, guys, what did you think of the enemy intel segment? Likes, dislike, thumbs up, thumbs down? Let us know on the madworldattractions.com text line 71307. Just start your text with the word fan, and away you go. Let us know what you think. Coming up next, I will give you my upset pick of the week. On the flip side, here on the show that gives you both sides, it's Offsides. Marc, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. All right, here to tell you guys about my friends at your local Ingles markets right here in the upstate of South Carolina. Well, my friends, I do want to let you know that Ingles right now is involved in something very, very special. It's the Upstate Warrior Solution, all right? And Veterans Day is coming up on Saturday, November 11th. We have the opportunity to make a difference. Our good friends at Ingles Markets have teamed up with the Upstate Warrior Solution, a nonprofit that has served nearly 9,000 warriors and their families. And you've got a chance to be part of the solution. Between now and Friday, November 10th, when you shop at Ingles Markets, you can purchase an icon at checkout for $5. That's it. One for $5. 100% of the proceeds go directly to Upstate Warrior Solution. So if you would be so kind, please consider buying a $5 icon between now and November 15th at your favorite Ingles Markets. Now, if you want to learn more about Upstate Warrior Solution, just visit upstatewarriorsolution.org. And thank you for helping us make a difference in the lives of our bravest and their families here in the Upstate, all presented by your local Ingles Markets.
I have a feeling I need to put the trash can over here. This is that kind of rain.
Yeah.
Woo!
Did you close your car?
Yeah.
I don't even know how that happened, man. It was fine when I got here.
Hey, I mean, I just looked at my front door camera. It's sunny and beautiful.
And they're riding a 4-game win streak. Clemson is coming off their bye week. They'll take on the Miami Hurricanes in South Florida. The Tigers sit at 4-2. South Carolina will be in Missouri to meet the Tigers for the Mayor's Cup. The Gamecocks at 2-4 after their loss to Florida. And the Wofford Terriers are on the road to Georgia to face the Mercer Bears. Download the Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on The Fan Upstate.
From the Ingles Market Studio, The Fan.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
What's live from the Free Odyssey app. CBS Sports Radio.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2
looks like I'll have water in the floorboard of my Jeep, though. I don't know where it comes in, but every time it rains hard, like hard rain, it always gets in and gets into the floorboard of my Jeep.
It comes through the top of your car?
I have no idea. I don't think so. I don't think it comes to the top. I think it comes through the firewall. That would be my guess, is it comes through the firewall somewhere.
Diesel, for the 4 o'clock segment, can you access the Greg Schiano audio I sent to the Fan Upstate Twitter yesterday?
Uh-huh.
Great.
And just like that, it's gone.
Yeah. Like, what?
Has everything you need to keep your ride or die alive. From superchargers, brakes, exhaust kits, and more. With over 122 million parts, eBay Motors levels your baby up to its peak performance. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home the win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast. With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas? When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at
Wow, the
Babbel.com.
cotton gin is
That's
closing in Colombia.
BABBEL.com. For the ones who get it done, the most important part is
You should recreate the sign that says, our sources say the cotton gin doesn't have enough customers to stay open. Woo! That was a big lightning strike.
Three. Would that be onside or offsides if I said that to the cotton gin? Ladies and gentlemen, you tell.
I mean, it's offsides, but it feels so good.
It does. It does. All right, guys, it's time for.
Oh, you got to know Chuck Mangione feels so good.
We got a lot of upset picks coming in. Don't forget, your deadline to get your upset pick in is today at 7:00 p.m. It is time to get you my own upset pick. Now, you can say what you want about my strategy, okay? You can say what you want. At this point, folks, I'm tired of not being on the board, okay? I've been on the board. I lost enough points. I'm off the board. I'm looking at games that I feel have a good shot. Here are the games that I looked at, okay? I looked at, sorry, Diesel, Old Dominion hosting Appalachian State.
Mm-hmm.
I would get 5.5 points, and Old Dominion's a home team.
That's not a bad pick. I mean,
Right.
App State's a team that finds ways to lose games.
Right. So I looked at that one. I've looked at Utah at USC, but Utah is still likely to be with their backup quarterback. Okay. And are you going to beat Caleb freaking Williams with a backup quarterback? The answer to that is no. Right. So I considered those two. I ultimately did not select those two. Here is my selection. Okay. Without further ado, I'm going to get on the board. Give me BYU at home against Texas Tech. They're a 3-point underdog. Now, why is BYU an underdog at home? By the way, Diesel, I'm going to put together a one-sheeter on this, and you're not going to like it. Have you seen what's happened to all these group of fives that have joined the Big 12 this year? Like UCF was like a low-key sleeper contender. They suck in the Big 12. BYU, 1-2 in the conference. Houston, irrelevant in the conference. Cincinnati suddenly sucks.
Well, I wouldn't
overnight.
expect a team moving up to have instant success. I mean, why? Because they haven't had decades of recruiting. They don't have
Cincinnati
the
and
budgets.
UCF were top 25 teams, though.
They were top
teams.
25 teams playing the competition that they were playing, but it's a step up in competition.
Whether you're a top 25 team or you're not, right? So What we see traditionally.
I'm gonna paint a scenario here for you. Maybe you've heard of it before. Team that was in the top 25 last year, not in the top 25 this year.
Right. But it's happening to all of them at the same time.
Okay.
All of them at the same time.
Okay.
So they got bad overnight. And the reason's the same. It's because, and we saw it with Utah when they joined the Pac-12. When you start, you don't have the depth to withstand the wear and tear of playing in that league. But you did in the league that you came from, right? So then you start to have attrition. The reason why BYU's an underdog in this game is that they're now starting Diesel and I in their secondary. They're down to like their third and fourth starter. But check this out. Texas Tech is without its starting quarterback, and Texas Tech is likely to be without its backup quarterback in this game. So Texas Tech is going to be starting a true freshman in all likelihood on the road, Lavelle Edwards Stadium, hostile environment. The crowd doesn't give up on the team at BYU like the crowd gives up on the team in Miami. Okay, so I'm going BYU to upset Texas Tech, all right, at home. It gives me 3 points. It gets me back on the board. And it's just, frankly, folks, it's the game I feel best about. If I knew more about Riley Leonard's status tomorrow, I would consider taking a shot at Duke against Florida State. But Florida State, I mean, they're the luckiest team in America, man. The way, incredibly fortunate to get by Clemson with a win. You get Duke without Riley Leonard or with a hobbled Riley Leonard. Give me a break. That's exactly the kind of team, physical, fundamentally sound, that could give Florida State all they can handle. That could make Florida State beat themselves. But they can't do it with a backup quarterback. Duke beat NC State last week 24-3. I think their starter that last week threw for under 100 yards. You're not beating Florida State like that. You can't be one-dimensional and beat Florida State the way they are this year. Just can't happen. So what do you think? How did I do? BYU hosting Texas Tech is my upset pick of the week. Diesel, what was yours?
You asked me that question off the top of my head. I don't know. Give me just a second. I'm looking it up. I took Tennessee over Alabama plus 9.5.
That's right. There you go. Okay. All right, my friends. Coming up next on the show, we are going to follow up. We're going to follow up on the Jim Harbaugh situation with some audio that you haven't yet heard. That's next, right here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Marc, Ron, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate. What's good, my friends? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Marc, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. You guys have a ton of choices out there. I truly do appreciate you making us part of your day each and every day. 844-FAN phone is the number. That's 844-326-3663. Is where you can get to us on the show. And the madworldattractions.com text line is there for you as well at 71307. Just start your text with the word fan and away you go on the show. Diesel, I believe we've got some Asheville stuff to give away today. No, we do not.
No, that starts on Monday. We were wrong trying to give it away yesterday. But the best thing is, so this is a really sweet prize. As some of you may be turning on your football team already by Monday. If Clemson loses to Miami, a lot of Clemson fans will be saying, is it basketball season yet? And God, that's a depressing thing to say, knowing how bad Clemson basketball has been. But hey, if you're a diehard, or if you just go to all of it, then you want to win these tickets. It's a basketball tournament in Asheville, sponsored by Ingles. Clemson is there, Maryland, UAB, and Davidson. A 4-team tournament in Asheville, 2-day event. You'd get tickets to both of the semifinal games and the third place game and championship game of this tournament.
So what is the feeling about this weekend? Well, our prediction, folks, is that one fan base, one of the two major fan bases in our market, Clemson or South Carolina, are going to be completely and totally checked out by the end of the weekend, by the end of the day, Saturday. Okay, going to be completely and totally checked out. Either it's going to be Clemson fans who are listed as having a 52.3% chance to beat Miami, or it's going to be South Carolina fans who are listed as having a 35.6% chance to beat Missouri. Okay, I think if either of these teams loses this weekend, their fan base is lost from the population for the rest of the season. That's honestly how I see it. You know, Clemson fans did not sign up for a 2-3 conference record. I don't think they're going to have a 2-3 conference record, right? Miami has not won a home ACC game. They're 0-5 under Mario Cristobal, right? Number one offense, number one defense. You tell me. I don't think Miami is fundamentally sound enough to win a game against Clemson at this juncture. I just don't. But do you guys agree with me, outside looking in, no matter what side of this equation you're on? Like a loss for either side, their fan base is going to check out until the Palmetto Bowl at the end of November, okay? But they're going to be largely checked out until next August.
Man of Tomorrow asks, why can't it be both?
He wants both of them to lose.
I guess so.
Wow.
I guess so. Man of Tomorrow, you just reminded me of one of my favorite scenes from the movie A League of Their Own when Gina Davis's character, Dottie, is driven to the bar by, God, this kid couldn't be older than like 12, 13. And he says, why don't we hop in the back seat and you make a man out of me? She goes, why don't I slap you around a little bit? He goes, can't we do both?
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. So that's our take, guys. I think the loser, the losing team, either Clemson or South Carolina this weekend, loses their fan base for the year. Is that unreasonable? Is that what you see is going to happen the way we do? Texter, by the way, says, Mark, what's happening in 5 points is just sad. Love them or hate them at Cotton Gin. It sucks what's going on there. What is going on there?
Is this a product of that new South Carolina bill that requires a tremendous amount of liability insurance? If Cotton Gin's a bar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of Greenville bars that have gone under the same way. Smiley's Acoustic Cafe that have been around for like 15 years. The Spinning Jenny and Greer is part of it. There's been several bars that have been shut down because of this.
There's a new law
that ups the amount of liability insurance that bars have to carry.
What kind of liability?
Just liability insurance. If somebody gets hurt inside your bar, if somebody gets in an accident after leaving your bar and it's deemed that you overserved them, then their insurance premiums are going up, and it's really hurting a lot of bars around here.
Yeah. Wow. So what's, Texter, what is happening in Little 5 Points? Does anybody know what's happening in Little 5 Points? Because people are saying what's happening in 5 Points is just sad. What is happening? I don't live there, right? I don't know what's happening. So educate us on what is going on. Is it exactly what Diesel just said? Is it the liability insurance? Is that part of the problem? Is that the whole problem? Like what exactly is going on there? I can tell you guys this, folks in the upstate like to really trash the city of Columbia. I have no problem with the city of Columbia. I've had good eats in Columbia, seen nice things in Columbia, been to good shows in Columbia. Every time I'm in Columbia, I'm asking myself, how come everyone trashes on this place? The upstate has the crown jewel of Greenville. I've really enjoyed all my time in Spartanburg, right? And then the upstate has a bunch of small towns. Columbia actually is a city. I don't know. I've actually been pleasantly surprised every time I've been to Columbia. I don't frankly understand why it gets the hate. Let's see here. Texter says most bars went from paying about $7,000 a year to having to pay anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 a year for liability insurance. What about the Voodoo Pizza that's down there in 5 Points? Is it called Little 5 Points in Columbia? Because Texter says what's going on in 5 Points is really sad. Sucks what's going on there. What's going on there? Help me out if you know. Let's see here. Navy plus 10 over Air Force. So says Buckeye Brian. Shannon Burke chimes in with his upset pick of the week. He says, let's see. He's going South Carolina plus 7 versus Missouri. Shannon Burke, good to see from you. Good to hear from you. Go ahead and hit that follow button back on Twitter again. Would be great to have you back. Hurricane Jeff says the Hurricanes will be 1-5 in the ACC under Mario Cristobal after Saturday's game. So, Hurricane Jeff, you're taking Miami. Was that your upset pick this week, Hurricane Jeff? Miami over Clemson. I think the line is 4 points. Texter says the combination of bar liability and the inflated real estate prices are causing bar owners to sell before they lose everything. Man, that is sad. That is really sad. It's just, I don't know. I was seeing something the other day that the median home income to own a home right now is $130,000. So like the break even point at which you can own a home is a median combined income of $130,000. Okay, household income. Didn't used to be that way, Diesel. Even with inflation, it didn't used to be that way. I mean, you can subtract 3.5% inflation by year. Growing up, 50, 60,000 would get you a home.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of those like infographic YouTube videos trying to learn about the housing market and how things are changing and why some of the things are happening. Granted, this has been like a couple weeks since I've seen any of these videos pop up, but basically it's there's a generation of people who are buying up a lot of real estate as investment companies, not as individuals like, hey, I own my property and I own this other property and I'm going to rent out this property. It's investment companies have really, really, really invested a lot of money in real estate, and it's just driving the prices up because it's lowering the supply. And it's kind of sad what's happening. It's really, really difficult to buy a home.
Yeah. Those people like Diesel who got a home
just at the right time,
just before the bubble burst.
Like we paid a little too much in the principal asking price of the house, more than what that house is worth. But we got in just at the right time with a really low interest rate, right before it was just kind of that good equilibrium point.
Texter says, I believe there were some laws a few years back saying that bars in businesses in 5 Points had to sell more food than alcohol, which is obviously a problem for college bars. Lots of bigwigs wanted to reclaim the area for more money, which is putting the college bar scene in a bind.
Isn't it going to be great when they close down the Cotton Gin and put a bank in its place?
No, it's not going to be great.
Because that's what happens. They tear down cool bars, cool restaurants, and they put faceless banks.
Yeah, but why wouldn't there be enough people that say, no, we're not doing that here? Counties can do something called eminent domain, and they can get rid of businesses. Why can't the county say, no, you're not doing that? This is a local establishment, right? It's part of the fabric of the community here. And I can't believe I'm defending an institution that trashed us. But I like that they trashed us. Like
that they're there and they can trash you.
Yeah, exactly. I've got no issue with that whatsoever. No issue with that at all. Let's see here. Texter says the combination of bar liability and the inflated real estate prices are causing bar owners to sell. Justin M is chiming in. He's taking Army over LSU. What?
Wow.
What?
But he also didn't give the spread, so that pick is invalid.
I'm not going to be like that. But yes, Texter.
Them's the rules. You got to give the name,
back.
your game, and the spread.
Name, game,
them's
spread.
The rules.
That
Justin M, send it back in.
What's the spread, Justin? Yeah. Let's see. Jeff R is going UCF over OU. You guys, in the spirit of the law, do you really think Army's beating LSU? Do you really think UCF's beating Oklahoma? Do you really think that? Coach AJ, because you just never know in rivalry games, Michigan State over Michigan, -24. So says Coach AJ. No chance, AJ. No chance whatsoever.
Man of Tomorrow on YouTube says, ironically, the Hooters on Lawrence Road in Greenville is an old bank. You can eat inside the safe. That's interesting, Man of Tomorrow. I worked at a Starbucks fresh out of college, and it was a bank, and they had a vault in there, so you could sit inside the vault. They put some sofas in there. It was nice.
There's a coffee shop in downtown Greer
Yeah.
that has a safe inside.
Because you
of the
can't
coffee shop.
once a bank door is installed, a vault door is installed, it's illegal to remove it. Because then somebody could use it to learn how to rob banks.
UNC Chris says from Five Forks to Lawrence Road, there's almost 30 different banks.
Sucks.
On Woodruff Road.
It's like banks and dentist office. They're just popping up like zits on a 15-year-old's forehead. Why? Why all of a sudden are there so many damn dentist offices?
Don't know. Can't answer it. All right, my friends.
Texter says, I love Diesel acts like he's never been in that Hooters. I've been in that Hooters. I didn't say that I haven't been. When did I ever say that I hadn't been in that Hooters? I've been in that Hooters maybe 2 or 3 times max. I worked an event at that Hooters once. Mark, I've told you the story. I worked an event at that Hooters once. And I show up. This is when I'm a promotions rep. I show up. I get all the stuff out of the van. I walk inside the front door. I start setting it up. And the manager comes over and says, what are you doing? I said, I'm setting up your event. He goes, we don't have an event tonight. I said, yeah, you do. It says it right here on this piece of paper. Today, this date, this location, this time, you have an event. He goes, no, we don't. I said, yeah, you do. No, we don't. I said, okay, man, I'll take the night off. And what it was somebody at corporate bought advertising for Hooters. They bought the event for Hooters, but didn't bother to tell the local store that they had bought the event. So they sent me home.
Why did the guy have to be like that? Like, why couldn't they just be like, hey, okay.
I mean, if you had to deal with, 27 Hooters girls every day, wouldn't you be in a bad mood?
Are you? Well, are you talking about me in my 20s?
There's a lot. There's a lot of great stuff to look at, but it's also a pain in the ass.
That's true. Okay.
In orange shorts.
Let's see here. Coming up next, guys. What are your biggest midseason takeaways for college football? That plus my top 10 QBs in the NFL. Your biggest midseason takeaways in college football coming your way next. Right here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Marc, Ron, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. It's Offsides. Marc, Ron, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. Fantastic to have you guys with us here on the show. Truly do value you. Truly do appreciate you. Could not do it without you. 844-FAN phone. That's 844-326-3663. So now that we are at the midway point of the college football season, officially, completely, maybe even past the midway point, the college football regular season is essentially September, October, and November. So right around the middle of October 16th, right, is the midway point. That was Monday. It is now Friday. What are your mid-season takeaways in our favorite sport, college football? 71307 on the madworldattractions.com text line is where you can get to us. Just start your text with the word fan and away you go. You can also get to us via the phones at 844-FAN phone. That's 844-326-3663. And I've got 3 takeaways to share with you. And then I will get to your takeaways that you would like to share with us. So here you go. And these are tried and true opinions, okay? Michigan, in my opinion, is 10 points better than everybody else in college football. Literally everybody else. And I think you're going to see that. Penn State's got to play both Ohio State and Michigan in the next few weeks. Poor Penn State, right? Michigan has got to go to Penn State, and it's at Penn State, and you're going to see Michigan win there by double digits. Okay? At Penn State. I think on a neutral field, they're 10 points better than anybody. And this is not something that is widely known or accepted right now, but something you're going to see. As the rest of the college football world has gone towards up-tempo and spread concepts, Jim Harbaugh's gone completely the opposite way. He's going with physicality and brute force. And guess what? It's working. And I know, it might be working because he's guilty of some signs. He's guilty of some signage here. And I got a clip here from Greg Schiano to share with you momentarily. By the way, when Rutgers played at Michigan, okay, people were wondering what Greg Schiano was upset about at halftime. Do you guys feel like this is now clear? Like, is Greg Schiano talking about the sign-stealing scandal? Here was Greg Schiano's halftime interview. And, and everyone was saying, well, what bug is on his butt, right? Here's what that interview sounded like.
Coach, 4 penalties for your team in the first half, some that cost you. How do you clean that up in the second half?
Well, there's some stuff going on out there, so we just got to slow it down a little bit. There's some things going on that aren't right as well, so we'll talk about how to handle it.
This Michigan defense keeping Gavin Wimsatt in this passing game in check. How do you adjust?
Well, just got to keep playing. In the game, we just got to keep playing.
All right, thanks, Coach.
There's some things going on there that aren't right either, so we'll talk about what to do about that. A lot of folks are wondering, was that the tip of the iceberg, right, with the sign-stealing stuff going on from Michigan? What does he mean? There's a lot of stuff out there going on that isn't right. Isn't that weird? Right? But I think Michigan is 10 points better than anybody. And the last 3 weeks, okay, they've played Indiana, Minnesota, and Nebraska. Not bottom of the rung teams in the Big Ten, but middle of the pack teams in the Big Ten. And they've outscored them 139 to 24 the last 3 weeks. That means they've beaten those 3 teams by an average of 115 points. You know what that is divided by 3? 39 points. They're beating those 3 teams by. I'm telling you guys, they're an absolute Mack truck right now. They have it all offensively. They have a mobile quarterback. They can run. They can throw. The defense is angry, nasty, physical. It's the whole, they're going to run on you, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it, and you're not going to run on them. Number 2, midseason takeaway for me. Missouri is the SEC's most dangerous team. Now, I got to be real with you. I don't know where to place Missouri in my SEC power poll right now. I don't know where to place them. Just being as open and honest as I can possibly be. I do not know where to put them. I don't know where to place them. Okay? And the reason is because the SEC West has been so much more dominant than the East that it's hard to know where these teams stack up. But among my top 5 teams in the SEC right now, I've got Georgia 1, Alabama 2, Ole Miss 3, LSU 4, and Missouri 5th. Missouri had a 22-7 lead over LSU, could not hold it, lost 49-39. South Carolina's chance in the game tomorrow is if they can do to Missouri what LSU did and just throw the ball all over the place. The million-dollar question is, Missouri has kind of big-boyed South Carolina's front in recent years. South Carolina's offensive line. Is Rattler going to have time to throw the football all over Missouri? If he does, they've got a shot because that Missouri D-line is susceptible. But folks, there's only going to be a single team that comes out of the West, right? It's either going to be Alabama, Ole Miss, or LSU. Ole Miss has beaten LSU, so they hold the tiebreaker there. Alabama's beaten Ole Miss, so Alabama holds the tiebreaker there. But if LSU were to beat Alabama again, all bets are off. No holds barred, right? Tiebreaker scenario. Who goes from the West? I think Missouri is the one team in the SEC that really should scare you. Especially if they beat South Carolina this weekend. And Georgia should again be concerned about Missouri. Remember, Missouri is the team a year ago that almost took them out. Had a fourth-quarter lead in Columbia, Missouri, against the Georgia Bulldogs. And then, mid-season takeaway number 3 for me. Clemson has got to be among college football's most disappointing teams, right? They've got to be among the most disappointing teams in college football. If you told me at the midway point of the season, Clemson isn't in the top 25, I mean, like, I'm sorry, guys. Look, you could say Nebraska's up there, Matt Rule, they've really been a disappointment. Minnesota has not done much, and they were supposed to be good. NC State is perennially around the top 25. They kind of stink this year, right? There's other disappointments, but any list of most disappointing teams has to include Clemson, right? It has to, but I do think beating Miami this week moves you into the top 25. I mean, you're sitting at 27th right now in others receiving votes. Miami has 1 vote in the others receiving votes. So you're beating a peer program or a peer team right now in the eyes of the AP voters. You know, you're all in the others receiving votes, all in that 26 to 35 range of teams. I think if you beat Miami, and especially if you beat Miami convincingly, you move up. You move up. You may jump a Tulane. You may jump an Air Force, depending on whether or not they struggle on the road at Navy this weekend. I think that is going to be dispelled if Clemson wins the game. Sure. Okay. That's fair. So Clemson is on the season's most disappointing teams list, but Clemson can get off of the most disappointing teams list. Diesel, I'm going to tell you, I need this. I need Clemson to finish 9-3 or better. Okay, if Clemson is 8-4 or worse, they remain on the most disappointing list for me.
Clemson fans, calm down.
Yeah, I mean they do, because you can't have the hopes that Clemson has. You can't have Phil Steele, who has the most accurate college football playoff magazine in the country, have you as number 2 in America, okay, and be 8-4. It's just, especially in the ACC, can't happen. Just can't happen. So we'll see. Clemson over the next 6 weeks has a shot to get off the most disappointed list. We'll see if they can achieve that.
I hate to say that I told you so, but I told you so.
Dave chimes in. His upset pick is Penn State plus 4.5 over Ohio State. Guys, I have a strategy of taking small home underdogs. Okay, it's working so well. I have 0 points. But I have a strategy of doing that, okay? Texter says, so disappointed in the USC Trojans. They should be a playoff contender. They have the contenders, just not the play calling and coaching. Texter says, I don't know if it's doable, but y'all should have a segment called Out of Context at the beginning of each show where you guys just find the weirdest statement from the previous show that just played by itself would be taken out of context, way out of context. We have one of those every single day. It's almost always sexual. I don't know why, but it is. Texter says, Diesel says he's never been to Hooters. Diesel, I've been to Hooters. I love Hooters. Some of my best friends are Hooters. So says Chris.
Man of Tomorrow says he met the love of his life at Hooters. I asked how much he tipped her. And he said she didn't work there, but she could have.
Oh, boy.
Hello.
Justin M. chiming into
Mental
the
picture.
line. Roll Army, 32 points over LSU.
That, you know what? This is an instant. Can we stop? Can we stop putting roll in front of every team? Like, that's not your thing. Don't make it your thing. It's Roll Tide. It's only Roll Tide. It's exclusively Roll Tide. It's not roll anything else.
Texter says Dick Harpootlian had a big part taking away liquor license from bars
That
back
doesn't
in
sound like a real
2019.
name.
Yeah, this sounds made up. Michigan J. Todd says his pick is Tennessee over Alabama by 9. Oh, good company there, Diesel. Good company.
Well, if somebody else is picking it, it's definitely not going to happen.
Texter says, I love how Diesel acts like he's never been in Hooters. Okay, dude, okay. Is that true, Diesel?
I've already answered that question. I've been into that Hooters.
Okay.
I think I've eaten at that Hooters once, maybe twice, and then the third time I was in there was the story I told.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. I'll tell you this, Diesel. You ready? I've never been in that Hooters.
You're not missing much.
I've never been in there.
I'm not disparaging the staff. I'm just saying, like, you know, Hooters restaurants, it feels like they haven't been updated at all in like 25 years. Hooters restaurants just feel out of date.
I can see that.
But you've been to Twin Peaks,
But
though.
the irony is, Diesel, that I've lived right by that Hooters the entire time that I've been here. I've lived literally right by the Hooters.
Well, what stopped you from going in?
I don't know. I don't have a good reason. I don't have a good answer. I don't know. I've just never been in there.
Would Angela go with you to Hooters, to like a Tilted Kilt, to one of those affectionately known as restaurants with you?
Absolutely not.
No,
Absolutely
she
not.
wouldn't go.
Absolutely not. Wow. No. Yeah. Would
yeah, Ashley
really?
would go.
No, absolutely
I
not.
think she's been into Twin Peaks with me.
No. Yeah. Well, I will say this. Angela did come to the draft day show at Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks has fantastic food.
It does.
It's really, really good.
Does.
Like they know that they know the reputation that they've got, and they know that they've got to supplement that with excellent food, and they do.
Okay. All right. So Angela does get the credit for it. All right. Up next on the show.
Texter wants us to know that IT Gamecock wants us to know that Dick Harpootlian is a real name, and he is a state senator.
Well, he's on the all-name team. Okay.
That sounds like a villain of an SNL sketch.
Dick Harpootlian? Okay. Sounds good to me. On the all-name team, no doubt about it. Coming up next, guys, we will give you a Week 7 NFL preview like only we can. Coming your way next, right here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Marc, Ryan, and Diesel. And we are the Fan Upstate. It's Offsides. Marc, Ryan, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate. John Kruger joins us right now on the line. Hey, John, rumor has it you got one or two NFL picks you want to give us.
Yeah, here they are. Hope you all doing well, by the way.
You too, man.
Here they are. Detroit. I'm gonna run through these real quick. This is like only 13 games, but not counting last night. Detroit, Vegas, Cleveland, Buffalo, Washington, Tampa, Rams, Seahawks, Packers, Chiefs, Dolphins, and the 49ers. And I don't know if you got any thoughts on that.
Okay, well, how about pick one or two and one or two games, and I'll tell you what I think.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to run through what I'm picking. I mean, you don't have to give you comments on every one. I just wanted to let
Sure.
you all know.
Sure.
Okay, here's one of them. I got the Lions and the Ravens, obviously going with Detroit. And let's see, I'll give y'all Dolphins, Eagles, and I said I was going with Miami.
Okay, so you're going Miami and you're going Detroit. Okay. John, I like the Detroit pick. They're just rolling right now. They're absolutely rolling. And they've got a system. That system travels. They play defense. They run the football. They stop the run. Jared Goff is playing very efficient football. You've got to be on your P's and Q's to beat them right now. I think the Ravens have a better shot at the end of the year. But, even though the Lions are the underdog, I take them on the road against Baltimore. I'm going Eagles over Miami, however. Miami doesn't play defense. They don't play defense. So Philadelphia is also upset. You've got an angry Philadelphia team playing at home. They felt like they let one get away against Zach Wilson, the Jets, a week ago. So I think that's where I agree. That's where I differ. But good to hear from you, John. Thanks for the phone call, man.
Yeah, y'all have a good weekend, okay?
All right, you do the same, man. Definitely do appreciate that. Okay, what do you say we hit it with our Week 7 NFL football preview, my friends? First up, we've got the Raiders and the Chicago Bears. The Raiders are favored by 2.5 points. Why? Because the Bears do not have Justin Fields. He's got a broken bone. Here come the backups. Tyson Bagent from Division II went from undrafted underdog to backup to his first career start in a matter of months. Now, how did a D2 quarterback, right, which is below like the Chattanooga level, earn an NFL start? Well, last week he played a little bit. He had 2 turnovers and a TD run. Difficult matchup, though, against the Raiders, who have won 2 in a row, but they have yet to score more than 21 points in any game this season. That defense is responsible, led by Max Crosby. They have 25 sacks in 6 games the Bears have allowed. So protecting their quarterback is going to be the challenge, right? The challenge. The Raiders, too, have a backup in. No Jimmy Garoppolo. He's out with a bad back. O'Connell from Purdue is starting for the Raiders. Look, it doesn't matter to me that this game is at Chicago. They don't have an NFL quarterback, and therefore they're not going to win. Give me the Las Vegas Raiders. They still don't score over 21, but they win 20-8. Cleveland Browns at the Indianapolis Colts. Gardner Minshew. And the Colts got destroyed against Jacksonville in the week that we learned that there's going to be no more Anthony Richardson for the Indianapolis Colts. The line on this game is Cleveland -3.5. They're 3-2. The Colts are 3-3 overall. But Cleveland has the NFL's number one defense. Only defense in the NFL allowing under 200 yards a game. And only two teams in NFL history have allowed fewer than the 1,002 yards that Cleveland gave up through 5 games. Okay? They enter with a last-second win over previously undefeated San Francisco behind backup P.J. Walker. The Browns could have Deshaun Watson back, but we do not yet know. And the Browns have scored only 8 offensive touchdowns. The Colts have 14. Give me Cleveland in this one. I will go 27-20. Bills at the Patriots. Yep. Not a bad point. A point could be made. Everything the Panthers have done has not worked out. Why not keep Sam Darnold and P.J. Walker and keep DJ Moore and keep your first-round picks? Next up, Buffalo Bills at the Patriots. The line on this one is Buffalo -8 on the road. Sheesh. 4-2 at 1-5. The Bills have 24 sacks on the season. All right? They don't let Mac Jones and New England get comfortable in the pocket. Josh Allen has 11 touchdowns and no INTs in 4 games at Gillette Stadium. He's going to be trying to get Stephon Diggs over 100 yards for the 5th consecutive game. The Patriots, ready for this? They're scoring 12 points a game. The 40-year-old virgin scores more. Give me Buffalo, 30-13 over New England. Washington at the New York Giants is up next. Is Washington a playoff contender? They're favored by 2.5 points on the road in this one. Sam Howell has not thrown an interception in 3 road games, and Washington is in the midst of their 4th division game in 6 weeks, right? But last week when Sam Howell and the Washington Commanders snapped their 3-game losing streak, Howell was sacked 5 times for the 3rd straight game, all right? So what do we see here? Daniel Jones is 2nd in the NFL, being sacked 28 times over 5 games. So if you love to see quarterbacks getting beaten up, you're going to love this one. Daniel Jones expected to be back after an injured neck suffered in Week 5. It's not going to matter. Sam Howell and that offense rolls. I'll go 28-16. We've also got the Lions and the Ravens. I've shared with you, I think the Lions win this game. Why? They're on a 4-game winning streak. They've won all by double-digit points. Jared Goff has accounted for 13 touchdowns in the first 6 games. He's garnering MVP consideration. Now, no David Montgomery in this game, but they get Jahmyr Gibbs back, okay? But Baltimore's defense has been stout, just 261 yards a game allowed. I look for a close one. Give me the Lions 24-21. How about Atlanta at Tampa Bay? The Bucs, I'm going big time in this one. First place in the NFC South is on the line. But the Falcons' last division road win came in 2021. Tampa Bay does not run the football well, and the Falcons are 11th in run defense. So that means Baker Mayfield's going to have to beat them through the air. Can that happen, right? Desmond Ritter's coming off a 3 INT game in a loss to the Commanders. He stares down a stout Bucs defense, ranks 8th in scoring defense, 14th in total defense. Next up, we've got Pittsburgh at the LA Rams, 3-2 and 3-3. Are either one of these teams a playoff contender? The Rams do not have running back Kyron Williams, who's out with an ankle injury after posting 158 yards rushing last week. Now, Matt Stafford is set to hand off to rookie Zach Evans, 6th-round draft pick out of Ole Miss. And he's going to do his best to get the ball in the hands of Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua from Oregon State, one of the draft finds that they've had this year. Pittsburgh's defense is not good against the run, and the Steelers haven't been good offensively either. Even with Najee Harris, Steelers ranked 28th in the NFL in rushing. It's at home for the Rams. Give me the Rams to win this one. I will go 30-21. Arizona at Seattle. Child, please. Seattle's a team I believe in. Arizona's a team that I do not. Arizona's lost its last 3 games. They've been outscored 51-12 in the second half. They've been the most injured team in the NFL, right? Josh Dobbs starts again for the Arizona Cardinals as Kyler Murray continues to be out. Geno Smith threw for 326 yards last week against Cincinnati, but the Seahawks failed to score on 4 of their trips to the red zone. How about that? Kenneth Walker remains a beast, and Seattle wins comfortably. I'm going to go 24-6. Green Bay at the Denver Broncos. Wow. First to 3 wins in this one. Broncos are -6 in the turnover margin and allowing 33.3 points a game. They're also 0-3 at home and off to their worst start since 1994. Green Bay enters off its bye week after a Monday night loss to the Raiders. They're going to try to avoid a 3-game losing streak. 4 of Green Bay's next 6 games are at home, but this one is on the road. I think Denver's done. I think they've got a lot of infighting there, and I think Green Bay finds a way to win 23-13. How about the Chargers at the Chiefs this weekend? 2-3 at 5-1. The Chiefs try to stretch their winning streak to 6, but the Chargers have lost 3 games in a row, right? And Kansas City wants to shake off their 3rd loss by, Los Angeles wants to shake off losing 3 games by 3 points or less this year. The Chiefs are relying on an improved pass defense, limiting opponents to 14.7 points a game. Travis Kelce has had touchdown catches in his last meeting with the Chargers. And finally, Miami at the Philadelphia Eagles. Can Dolphins travel north for the fall winter? Temperatures are expected to be in the low 40s. Miami is averaging nearly 500 yards of offense a game, nearly 38 points a game. This sounds like Chip Kelly's offense at Oregon in college, right? But they're facing the best run defense they've seen all year. The Eagles give up just 66 yards rushing a game. Miami averages 182 yards on the ground. It's Jalen Hurts against Tua Tagovailoa, 2 Alabama quarterbacks going head-to-head. Nick Saban spoke about the really special nature of their relationship, right? So which Alabama quarterback has the better day? It's going to be Jalen Hurts. It's going to be the Eagles. Miami plays on one side of the ball, and that's not going to be good enough, right? Big question for the Eagles, the injury bug. They have 3 starters projected to be out, but I like the Eagles at home over the Miami Dolphins. Again, Miami's got to get a defense in order to be a true Super Bowl contender. That is our Week 7 NFL preview. If you're on the line, please hold. We'll get to you on the flip side here on the show that gives you both sides. It's Offsides. Marc, Ryan, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate. What's good, my friends? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides, Marc, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. Fantastic to have you guys with us. Always do appreciate you making us part of your day. You can give us a call at 844-326-3663, and you can hit us on the MadWorldAttractions.com text line at 71307. Just start your text with the word fan, and away you go on the show. Before we get to the top 5 at 5, Ben and Greer has been hanging patiently on the line. Good to talk to you, Ben. You're Offsides, pal. How are you?
Good.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Good.
Good, man. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. You know, how come, Ben, you have more guts to call in than people twice your age?
Because I'm built different.
You're built different. You're darn right you are, Ben. You're darn right you're built different, man. I appreciate the guts. Appreciate the guts you have here, Ben. What do you want to talk about today?
So the Ravens and the Lions.
Okay, what's your point?
Now, I think the Ravens have how do I put this? They have a good chance, but the Lions have also played a really good season so far. So if I were to have to choose for one to win, I'd probably have to choose the Lions.
How come?
Because they just played a really amazing season so far. So
yeah, I agree with you, Ben. Look, Ben, I agree with you, man. I really think Detroit, with that physicality, they're playing just like the personality of their head coach. They're embodying their head coach, who's a tough physical guy, Dan Campbell. They've got great line play, offensive line, defensive line. They run the football. They stop the run. It is tough to move them. Like, this is, you know, I always say a team plays, Ben, as a reflection of its head coach, and no team embodies that more than the Detroit Lions. And I like them to go on the road and get a tough win in Baltimore. I think that's a system that travels really, really well. Ben, I think you're on it, my friend.
Yeah. Well, I gotta go. So
great to talk to you, buddy. Great to talk to you. He's got to go, Diesel. He's got to go. Thanks for the call, Ben. Thanks so much for.
If we learned anything from Jurassic Park, Mark, when you got to go, you got to go.
You got to go. You got to go. Great to hear from you, buddy. Welcome. You're more than welcome to call us up anytime. 7-1. Spur Daddy, Miami is not a Super Bowl contender. You know, he says 6 games into the NFL season, my Super Bowl teams are Miami and Detroit. Miami plays on one side of the ball. They don't play defense. Okay. Once they play a team that can shut them down, and they do, okay, they are unable to hold anybody to anything. So once you understand that, 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, Miami's 20th in the NFL in defense. You don't win the Super Bowl with that kind of defense. You just don't. You know, they've got to get better on that side of the ball, and they're not there yet. Spur Daddy continues. The Panthers lose to the bye week 38-17. The bye week was a 3.5-point favorite, by the way, Spur Daddy. Matt J says Tennessee over Alabama -9. Let's see here. Arkansas State +9 over Coastal Carolina. Diesel, good pick, bad pick. Arkansas State +9.
God, Arkansas State has been so irrelevant in the Sun Belt for the past 6 years or so, which is weird because under Blake Anderson, they were a really good football team, a really good football program. And then, you know, Blake Anderson started going through his personal issues. His wife passed away, and then things just got really rough, and he left Arkansas State. And they've been struggling for a couple of years now as a program. They're 3-3. Coastal is 3-3. I think Coastal wins that game, but I think Coastal beats the spread. You know, I think they win a close one on the road, maybe by 6, maybe by 3. But it wouldn't surprise me. I just don't know a lot. Arkansas State is an enigma to me right now, but they do have waterfalls in their end zone, which is pretty sweet. They have a water feature. Yeah.
I've never seen that before.
They light it up when they score touchdowns.
I have honestly never seen that before. That is pretty cool. All right. It is time for us to do that jam. We call it the top 5 at 5, the top 5 biggest sports stories of the day, the top 5 topics we're discussing. Ladies and gentlemen of the upstate, Offsiders, the top 5 at 5 starts right now.
And now, the top 5 at 5.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hit it.
5.
All right, at number 5 today, let us begin by talking a little bit about Clemson and Miami. Now, Josh Pate, who is a friend of the show, and you guys might listen to him on the Late Kick Show, is a wonderful human being. I do not believe I've ever disagreed more with Josh than I do on this particular point. Josh believes that the wrong team is favored in this game. And by the way, Diesel, I'm still not getting any notifications on Twitter. Are you getting notifications on Twitter? I'm still not getting any.
No, we're not.
It's the craziest thing. And we're getting responses, no notifications. I think he's doing this stupid thing where he's going to charge you to get your notifications now. I just have this weird feeling. Anyway, Late Kick Josh says Miami should be favored. Here's the audio.
We've got a situation here. We've got a wrong team favorite situation. You remember how this turned out the last time we said that. Chaos Monday through Friday, and then we look like geniuses on Saturday. So, Colin, let's see what the model thinks. The Vegas number right now is Clemson -4. We think the wrong team's favored. We think Miami -1 is the right number. It's just been horrifically skewed because of very poor turnover luck the past 2 weeks. Not luck. It's undisciplined, like they've given the ball away. We're going to roll some dice here. We're going to say the turnover monster does not completely devour Miami like an unstoppable rebel force this week. I hope I've been vivid enough. And we're going to not only take Miami to cover, we're going to take them to win the game outright. Now, either way, it's going to be a topic on the Sunday show because either way, it's just going to be grossly toxic around the losing program here. That's the beauty and terror of college football. So you may think I'm crazy riding with Miami. That's okay. That's okay. What I don't want to do is be on them 1 week, got the bad turnover luck, so then I'm off of them the next week, and then the turnover thing flips, and then they win, and all of a sudden you're like, why can't I get a read on Miami? I think I know the quality of team they have. They have to play that quality of game. That's what I'm saying.
So those are the words of Josh Pate. So why do I disagree? Well, number one, turnovers aren't just luck, okay? Teams are mistake-prone. Miami is mistake-prone. Number two, Miami is 0-5 against ACC opponents at home under Mario Cristobal. You really think the first home win is going to be against Clemson? Really? Number three, Dabo Swinney is 16-3 off of a bye week. That stat was given to me by Sean Bergeron. Okay? Number four, Clemson is rested and focused. Miami is fatigued and defeated. And number five, every single intangible favors Clemson. Bye week for Clemson, Miami just played North Carolina. Winning streak, Clemson has a winning streak. Miami has a losing streak. And how many people are going to be at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami to see a team that hasn't yet won an ACC game? What's the stadium capacity going to be, 40%? And if you see orange, how do you know there's not going to be more Clemson fans there than Miami fans?
Do you mean attendance, not capacity?
Yeah, I think they're going to be at 40% stadium capacity.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, yeah, I think the attendance, Diesel, might be 40% of the stadium. You know, in other words, I don't think this is going to be this raucous home field advantage that Miami has. I think Clemson's going to feel like they're playing on a neutral field.
Come on, Madcraft. You don't believe this. 60 to 80% capacity is what he says.
Come on, man.
Come on, Madcraft. They don't do that.
Come on, man. I think Clemson wins this one somewhat comfortably. I'll go 30-20 Clemson over Miami. Next up.
4.
We had a very fun enemy intel segment that we'll re-air for you at 6:20 this afternoon. We went behind enemy lines to talk Missouri football with Matt Michaels from Missouri Tigers Radio Network. And he does believe that this is a winnable game for South Carolina. He said Missouri has some injuries in the secondary that could really help Spencer Rattler. And, he understands more than I do why that line is so close. All week, I've thought Las Vegas knows something we don't know. Missouri's 6-1, South Carolina's 2-4. This has been a 6.5, 7-point spread the entire week, and I don't understand why. I think Missouri is the most dangerous team in the SEC. On the Miami front, Alex Donno does not necessarily believe that they've gotten a clear answer. Okay? They've gotten a clear answer for why Miami didn't take a knee against Georgia Tech. He thinks Miami is a very dangerous offensive team, but one that keeps proverbially shooting itself in the foot. And he is picking Miami to beat Clemson. He's going 24-20. You would expect a Miami media guy to pick Miami in this game, but he says the natives are restless in South Florida. Little segment we debuted today called Enemy Intel. Next up.
3.
All right, my upset pick for the week, I revealed it to you today. It is BYU at home over Texas Tech. That's right. I'm going for a measly 3 points. If I can't win this one, I might as well pack up shop, right? Why am I going with this pick? Well, BYU's had so many injuries in the secondary. They're effectively starting Diesel and I back there. I mean, they're on like their 4th string safety. But they are playing at BYU, and they are playing Texas Tech's 3rd string quarterback, who is going to be a true freshman.
See, this is why grown men should wear jerseys, because if you're standing in the front row and you've got some eligibility left, they might call you out onto the field.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So it's Texas Tech at BYU. Good home field advantage. They packed the house there. A winnable Big 12 game, and there haven't been many of them for the new Big 12 editions this year. UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, and BYU. This is one I think they can get. True freshman quarterback, 3rd string at home. Give me BYU. Next up.
2.
At the midway point of the college football season, what are your biggest takeaways thus far? Number 1 for me, Michigan, I think, is 10 points better than anybody. 10 points better than anybody in college football on a neutral field.
Are we going to have to listen to this is the greatest team of all time BS again? No. Like, we've got to the point where it was Alabama 2017. I'm just making up a number. The greatest team of all time. We've never seen a team like this before. Then it was LSU, greatest team of all time. Then Michigan, greatest team of all time. Like, really? We got to stop with this greatest team of all time stuff. It doesn't mean anything anymore.
You would be annoyed then at what PJ Fleck said about Michigan. Diesel, he said that's the best team any team I've ever coached has played. That's what he said about this year's Michigan team. But I do think they're 10 points better than anybody else this year, and I don't know why they're not getting credit for it. I think you'll see this as the season rolls along. Missouri, number 2 for me, is the SEC's most dangerous team. Their only loss is to an LSU side that they led 22-7 in the second quarter. They couldn't keep LSU from scoring. Then again, nobody can, right? LSU scores more than a gigolo. I mean, they just keep running it up. But I do think they're the SEC's most dangerous team, and outside of Georgia, they're the only team from the East in my top 5 SEC sides. I've got Georgia 1, Alabama 2, Ole Miss 3, LSU 4, and Missouri 5. So how does South Carolina spring the upset this weekend? Next up.
1.
I missed one on number 2, Diesel. My 3rd midseason takeaway is that Clemson is among college football's most disappointing teams. Okay? If you told me at the midway part Clemson is not in the top 25, you can't argue against that, Clemson fans. You can't argue against it. They are one of the most disappointing teams in America. Okay? Now, Diesel argues they can get off of that list with a win against Miami this week. I think to get off of that list, they need to finish at worst 9-3. At worst, 9-3 is where they need to be. We'll see if they can get it done. What's your biggest midseason takeaway? Here we go. And finally,
we're already at number 1.
We're already at number 1. Here we go. My 10 best quarterbacks in the National Football League. Sincerely, Marc Ryan. I've got number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, Joe Burrow. Number 3, Jalen. Oh, it hurts so good. Number 4, Josh Allen. 5, Trevor Lawrence. How about that performance last night? Gimpy knee. 2 big runs for Trevor Lawrence. 6, I'm going Lamar Jackson. 7, Tua Tagovailoa. 8, how about how far he's climbed? Jared Goff. Number 9 for me, how purdy is he? I'm going Brock Purdy. I don't think you can keep him out of the top 10 anymore. He's been so good, so efficient, all games but last week, all of which leaves one place for me. Do I go Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Matt Stafford, or Geno Smith? I'll go Dak for one more week. I'm not a believer in Justin Herbert, guys. He's the same dude that he was when he entered the league. He hasn't gotten any better. He's a B+, A- quarterback, and the Chargers don't win. If he was that great, wouldn't he be winning? Don't tell me that QB wins are not a stat. Look at Cincinnati before and after Joe Burrow. Look at Philadelphia before and after Jalen Hurts. QB wins are absolutely a stat.
I don't know who it is, but this person deserves a raise. The person who figured out in the commercial that you could take Hurts and spread it apart and make Hulu has live sports. Whoever that person is brilliant. Because, Hurts starts with an HU. Hulu starts with an HU. And Hulu has live sports ends with an RTS.
There you go.
It's brilliant. I don't know who came up with that, but it's brilliant.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And those are today's top 5 at 5. Now it's your chance to chime in, which you can do at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663. The MadWorldAttractions.com text line is there for you at 71307. Just start your text with the word fan and away you go. You can get to us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube at The Fan Upstate on all three. Please like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube. And finally, email. You guys can all email the show. Marc Ryan, that is MARC Ryan at thefanupstate.com. All the different ways you can get in touch with us here on the most interactive sports radio show anywhere. Coming up next, we preview the high school football action of the week with our guy Cole Bryson, the host of the Saturday Scramble. That's next, right here on Offsides. Marc Ryan and Diesel, we are the Fan Upstate.
Another awesome day on the stream, guys. Appreciate you all being here. Madcraft, I fully expect you to call in and rub it in our faces if Miami's capacity breaks 60% on Monday. Feel free. We'd love to have you do it because that means you're here and that means you're listening and that means you're engaged. So
Not
thanks
gonna happen, Crafty. Not gonna happen, Crafty. Good luck, Crafty. It ain't gonna happen, buddy. Now 0-6 at home in the All Cupcakes contest.
Yeesh.
But I do appreciate you, brother. I do appreciate you very much.
See you guys back to doing the live stream on Monday.